All right, I'm here with Kenny Chu. How are you, Kenny?
Good. How about you?
I'm doing great. All right, we got two paddles here that a lot of people are considering when they're buying their next paddle. This is the Joola Scorpeus Pro IV in the 16 millimeter. And then Kenny's got the Carbon True Foam Genesis 2. They're standard shape. So we're going to hit these back and forth and tell you our thoughts. All right. Let's start at the kitchen, Kenny. So Joola, definitely considered a power paddle. Probably one of the most powerful paddles on the market currently. At least it's legal. Generation 3 construction, honeycomb polypropylene core. Oop. Oh, pretty poppy. Not just pretty, a lot poppy. A lot of power. For those that played the 3S, I think you're going to find a lot of similarity in these two paddles. I will say, I think the 4 has better touch. I mean, that may be more of a subjective thing, but it does feel like I have just a little bit better touch than when I hit in the 3S. So yeah, so Kenny, what do you think of the Carbon?
Yep, so the Carbon 2 is definitely the most popular out of the True Foam line. I don't like how short the handle is personally compared to the one because I do have a two-hander. But this compared to the one definitely has a little bit more power and control, I want to say. So it definitely is a great paddle. A lot of control at the net. Not too much power, but then I do feel like if you take a ball out of the air with the paddle facing the wrong direction, it does tend to pop up a lot on you because of the foam core.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that layer of fiberglass in there does add a little pop that sometimes people aren't expecting with that all foam paddle. I think you do expect the pop, or at least you should expect the pop.
Yeah.
With the Joolas.
But what I do like about the True Foam is that it definitely grips the ball. You can feel the ball just dwelling on the face of the paddle.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so you can really come up on the ball, but it's almost counterintuitive. You need to brush up almost a little bit faster to really get the ball into the paddle, and then you can generate a lot of spin that way.
Gotcha. Yeah, because pocketing gives a lot of spin to that one, as opposed to maybe surface grid or anything like that. Especially with that versus your typical polypropylene cores.
Yeah, and I do like the science behind the True Foam of the ball coming into the paddle more than like a carbon face where it's like the grit is making the spin on the ball.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, it's more surface area touching the ball and then really holding it to create that kind of spin. So really a fan of the True Foams as well.
Yeah, exactly. It should, theoretically, we'll see, we'll give it time, but it should last forever.
It should.
Should last a long time. Time will tell.
Yeah.
Let's hit some drives.
Ooh, it's feeling
what
really
I like
nice.
about there's a wide sweet spot on the Scorpeus, and I really like that because I can hit the ball anywhere on a regular basis. I like that wide sweet spot. Pretty good sweet spot too on the True Foam, I think.
Oh yes. So I'm usually used to more elongated or hybrid, mostly hybrid shape paddles. But I do feel here at the kitchen, I'm not shanking. It's very forgiving as well. I feel like I am hitting it a little off center, but it's still hitting really well, going exactly where I want it to be mostly. But what I don't like about the standard bodies is I feel like they're a little bit slower at the kitchen. Kind of feels like a fan almost.
Sure.
So I feel like it's a little slower there, but accelerating into the ball definitely feels really good. Huge sweet spot. The True Foam especially, just super forgiving.
Sounds like a guy that used to play tennis a lot.
Yeah.
All right, let's go back and forth.
A little bit. I'm anti-Joola. Oh, definitely a lot poppier.
A lot poppier, huh? Yeah. I mean, two totally different feel paddles. You know, they're similar in price range. You'll see people give them similar in rankings, but they play and feel, or they feel, let's put it that way at least, way different. If you like a lot of connection to the ball, then you want your more standard polypropylene paddle like the Joola. But because the feel of this is much more muted. But the nice thing about the True Foam is you still get that good spin. You still get pretty good power as well. And they have that layer of fiberglass right here that does enable you to have a little pop. It is not as poppy though as the Joola.
Yeah. This paddle is definitely super poppy. I feel like I almost have to play more aggressive than defensive. I feel like if I'm playing defensive, it's going to pop up a lot on me.
Yeah. So that may be a good point. If you're a more aggressive play style, that Joola is going to lean into your game.
For sure, for sure.
As opposed to True Foam, which I think you could play both.
Mm-hmm. I would say the True Foam's more of an all-court paddle currently, and then the Joolas are definitely more a power-based paddle.
Gotcha, yeah. All right, let's see. Let's test your hypothesis there, Kenny.
So far, I'm definitely liking the True Foam more, being aggressive at kitchen.
Yeah.
This is a little bit less forgiving, I would say. Definitely a little bit more vibration in the hand.
Definitely more vibrations.
Yeah.
That is an excellent point. I can feel that.
If you just shank it just a little bit, you can feel the vibrations going. Feels like I'm getting a little less control of how the ball's kind of moving the paddle a little bit. The True Foam's a lot softer, a lot more stable, plowing through the ball. This one, I hit a few shots out. Just a little bit too much power, a little bit too much reverb into the paddle face. Not too big of a fan of that, and just don't feel like I have the same control.
You have to change a little bit. Yeah. I mean, you have to kind of get used to that.
Mm-hmm. This one, you really have to drive straight down. That one, you can really create a little bit more spin and drive through the ball, a little bit over the ball. This one, I think you just kind of have to hit straight down a little bit more. Not as much grip or spin compared to the True Foam.
Gotcha. Yeah. Now, we just played the 11.624s. How would you compare that to the power paddle?
Different shapes, I believe, right? Because
that was a hybrid, and this one's going to be the standard, yeah.
But yeah, definitely to me, the biggest con about this is the kind of reverb I feel into the paddle. Both the True Foam and the 11.624 power paddle is a little bit softer, a little bit more forgiving. Some people don't like that kind of vibration that they might feel in their wrist.
Yeah.
And so if that kind of bothers you, I would definitely go with the other two brands. Some people do actually like to feel the ball, kind of feel that shock through the paddle. If you like that, this one might be the one for you.
Which also is interesting, because I don't know if you can see this on the screen, but I do have an Ethos undergrip on there, which is supposed to help with vibration dampening just a little bit. And I've got edge tape all the way around, which increased the swing or the twist weight of this. I think it was like 7.08 to 7.56.
Mm-hmm.
So it really should have widened up the sweet spot. So that's interesting. You still do get a little of that vibration with that, even with those two changes.
Yeah, I feel like when I'm hitting the True Foam here, it's definitely very forgiving, but even just a little bit off on this one, definitely feeling a lot of shock and vibration. Even almost the paddle turning in your hand if you're not gripping it hard enough and you just shank it a little bit. And that's one thing I really don't like is when if it shanks and then the paddle just kind of turns in your hand.
It's definitely a stiffer paddle.
Yeah, definitely a lot stiffer, not as forgiving, but definitely a lot of power, less control. But personally, I would give up a little bit of power for more control. So if you think you have a lot of control, you're very aggressive, this might be the one for you if you want easier power.
And I think for the True Foam, I think you're going to get an all-around great paddle. I think it'll play all court. If you dial it up, if you want to get full swings, you will activate that fiberglass layer. You will get some power with it, and so you can generate some speed. But I think you can play an all-around game with this. You're just going to have to get used to that little bit more muted feel, as well as just that whole just different touch. You're a little bit more disconnected from the ball, which may be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on you. All right, guys. Thanks a lot.